We continue our special coverage of Battleground Florida tonight with Miami Mayor Tomas Regalado and community activist Raul Mas. We began this particular portion of the program by talking about the violence in Chicago Friday night before that scheduled Donald Trump rally.
After we saw what we saw in Chicago, I think that a lot of people will be disappointed with Donald Trump. Donald Trump appeals to hate, and Marco has a language of hope. So I just think that Florida can do it. I mean, we did it in 2000. We elected George Bush in 2000, so
well, Mr.
we
Mayor,
can elect
let me follow up on that. Because what happened in Chicago last night, I understand the Kasich campaign has gotten on this, as have some of the other candidates for the Republican Party, holding Donald Trump responsible for what happened in Chicago. Is that what you're saying this morning?
I am saying exactly that. And let me tell you something. I have been in public office for 20 years. 14 years as a commissioner, 6 years as the mayor of the city of Miami. Throughout the 20 years, I get emails and letters. I'm not going to vote for you because you haven't fixed my street, my pothole, you didn't pick up my garbage. So in the last 3 or 4 months, I have been getting emails of people, for the first time ever in my political life, saying, you Cubans, you got to go back to Cuba. You know, it's enough that you have taken over Florida. You should go back. This hate has been generated by Donald Trump. There is no question about it. I mean, you were talking before about his policy and trade and this, but I think the conversation should be about the social fiber of the United States. We have a balance, especially here in Miami. We have a very fragile balance. Hispanics and African American and Haitians and Latin American people. And we have been able to live together. So now this guy comes in, he has empowered a lot of people saying, well, if you don't look like us, you got to go back.
There's no question that Donald Trump has been a controversial figure, and so much of the media attention has been on him. But you know, Thursday night we had a very good policy-oriented debate at the University of Miami. The personalities were in check. I understand what Tomas is getting at. I think that, you know, there is still an element in our society that unfortunately, you know, when you have somebody like Trump saying what he says, appeals to sort of the baser instincts of an individual. But I think the real anger that Donald Trump has tapped into is not racial. I think it's an economic uncertainty that so many people are feeling in this country. And yes, it has an anti-immigrant element to it, because those individuals that lost their jobs, that had a good job, are now competing with an immigrant to be a greeter at Walmart, okay? And that's not right. That's not the middle class that built America, and that's where that frustration is coming.
There is an important distinction to make that somehow gets lost in the debate. No criticism intended, Raul, but there is a difference between immigration and illegal immigration.
Correct.
And that debate has roiled the nation, as well it should, in terms of are we a nation of laws?
Correct.
Or do we make excuse for people and accommodation and thereby insult the legitimate immigrants who are trying to come here and play by the rules? One follow-up, though.
By the way, the truth of the matter is we wouldn't be having this discussion if it wasn't for Donald Trump. The Republicans didn't want to talk about illegal immigration. They wanted to avoid it like the plague. And guess what? For better or worse, Donald Trump has put it front and center in this presidential
Do you
debate.
go as far as the mayor? Is Mr. Trump at fault for the violence in Chicago?
No, actually, you know what? Last time I checked, free speech was a protected right in this country. You know, and we protect all sorts of free speech folks, right? I mean, even folks that are on certain extremes of our society that we don't agree with, we protect them and we let them speak. And I think it's a huge failure on the part of the Chicago Police Department not to have that situation under control.
But what happens in these debates is that the most passionate issue displaces the important issues. And that's not to say that the immigration question is not important, but in terms of priorities, as Raul mentioned, like it or not, Donald Trump has made illegal immigration, not immigration, but illegal immigration, the central theme of this campaign thus far?
Well, Donald Trump was a TV personality. He understands. The camera is his friend.
But for purposes of full disclosure, you and I have broadcasting backgrounds too.
That is correct. That is correct. And that's my point. The point is that, ratings go up, you sell more advertising, and, the Republican Party has failed to stop Donald Trump by saying, hey, don't say that Muslims cannot come in this country. Hey, don't say that all Latins are drug traffickers. They didn't do that.
That's not the role of the Republican Party.
Well, it is the role of the Republican Party.
And they have stepped in along the way.
You're going to tell a political candidate what he should or should not say. That sounds so bizarre.
Raul, it's not about that. You have your nominee that people are going to get behind. So there's got to be a threshold of something that it's important for the party.
A special thank you to Raul Mas and to Mayor Tomas Regalado for their time. They said some things that you might have found very interesting and you might want to take issue with. And if you have something to say, why don't you send your comments to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Now, need to comment again about what's coming up tomorrow night. We're pretty excited about it. We hope you're going to make Newsmax TV your source for the latest on tomorrow's super duper primaries on a super duper Tuesday. We'll have special coverage here on Newsmax TV. It will commence tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern. I'll spend a good bit of time behind the anchor desk here. We'll bring in our expert guests and analysts to offer their thoughts about what happens in all 5 primaries tomorrow night, starting at 6 Eastern, only on Newsmax TV. Back for more with Mike Huckabee right after this.